Batman the Demon Trilogy. This went out of print really fast, and I slept on it, but I was able to find a copy. So good luck if you do not have this. It's going for some good money. Now, this is some graphic novels that were done by Mike Barr, Denny O'Neil, and it is a trilogy, as mentioned. Now, they don't really have any relation to each other other than the characters that are in it, but, you know, there's a lot of fun to be had in here. My name is John Delarose. I am a #1 best-selling author and award-winning comic creator. I have my links in the description below. If you like my channel or my thoughts on comics and things like that, I would appreciate if you would go check those out and support us, because that's what we're trying to do here, is get comics going. Now, I would recommend, before reading the Demon Trilogy, there's a I think Birth of the Demon hardcover, I think it's called, which goes over like the 70s Ra's al Ghul stories, where you kind of get an introduction to Talia and Ra's al Ghul. Kind of useful before getting into this, you know who the characters are. But it's an interesting size. These are bigger than normal, this graphic novels, and you get a little dust jacket, different cover on the inside. Very nicely constructed book. I love what DC did here. And you get a first storyline with Jerry Bingham on here with some Ra's al Ghul stuff, and you see the sort of 80s dark graphic novel gritty art here, which feels actually pretty good for Batman. And in this one, Talia al Ghul actually gets pregnant. Claims she loses the baby over the course of this. And of course, there's like this whole romance that goes on while Ra's al Ghul and Batman kind of team up to fight this like terrorist kind of guy who's trying to take things over. It's an interesting storyline, and very much plays on the 80s Cold War. I really like the art. I mean, it's just nice stuff all the way around. I think the first storyline's art actually is the best out of the trilogy, and the storyline's actually the best out of the trilogy. You really feel some progress in Batman's life. You see the whole space race, Star Wars stuff going on. Very 80s. Very enjoyable stuff, though. And then Barr was instructed to, and you see at the end that the baby did make it. It was actually just adopted. And this actually matters. This comes into play much later in storylines here. We have Tom Greinberg on the art on the next one, who I don't think quite is as crisp as the prior. And Mike Barr was instructed not to allow, not to even reference the first one in this one, which is Bride of the Demon. And in this one, Ra's al Ghul's got this like actress lady who he is giving a younger birth, and there's this like scientist guy who is trying to get his kid who's got a problem to get his Lazarus formula or whatnot also. And there's a whole conspiracy with that, and it ends up going crazy, and Ra's al Ghul's base gets destroyed, and Ra's al Ghul's gal makes it out, but Ra's al Ghul kind of disappears over the course of this also. Very interesting stuff. Like I said, the art's just not as crisp in this one, and you know the Batman Talia al Ghul storyline from the first one really doesn't continue or develop a ton over the course of this. We get a lot learning about this girl who's Ra's al Ghul's marrying over the course of this. So it just doesn't feel quite as good as a follow-up. It's all right. I find it enjoyable, but just you know, the first one, if it's like that one's like really a great Batman story, this one is like it's a good Batman story. I do like this art right here. It looks pretty nice. Just not as crisp and flowing. The colors really don't stand out as much as the first volume either. But it leaves it looking like Ra's al Ghul's dead, and that's that. And that's it. Like, those two stories are kind of their own thing, and this Norm Breyfogle, Denny O'Neil story really is not the same at all. I mean, yes, it has Ra's al Ghul in it, but it feels very different. Norm Breyfogle is one of the like primary Batman artists, so pretty cool, and you get a really cool, unique coloring job out of this one that's very different. But this one actually just goes back in time and tells stories of Ra's al Ghul throughout history. He's kind of been alive forever and all that. Very arty, as you can see here. You get this like impressionistic swirly stuff. Cool looking here. But you learn a lot about the characters. Really a Ra's al Ghul story, not a Batman story. Batman kind of is in the framing sequence of it just a little bit. But you learn all about, his Lazarus pits, how those came to origin, just like the type of guy he was back in ancient times. It's kind of cool, but it's very different. Doesn't really fit the first two stories whatsoever. And you get this kind of interesting frame towards the end of it, where Bruce Wayne gets stabbed and ends up in a Lazarus pit. So very weird ending. But cool stuff. Well worth the read. I mean, this really defines the character of Ra's al Ghul and really goes over that whole thing a lot. So it's this is like must-read Batman stuff if you're into Batman. And I'll call it like a 9 out of 10 overall. All right, hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.